Yo guys, it's me Matrix here, coach of the Welsh Wailords, bringing you a draft review for the Pokemon Premier League Season 2 VGC. They are running the Champions draft over in PPL. I was lucky enough to be invited this season by Gray. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. Hopefully meet a load of new people, play a load of new players, and just have a really good time playing Pokemon Champions. So yeah, I thought today I will do a little bit of a draft review. I haven't done one in a while, and yeah, might as well just get into it. Like, most of the people who are watching this know what draft is, to be fair. If you don't, you select Pokemon from a pre-generated tier list. Each of the Pokemon are valued at different points depending on how effective they are within a draft or within competitive battle or VGC battle. And each coach is allocated 110 points to basically pick their Pokemon snake style 1 through 12, 12 through 1. And yeah, you make up a team. And then you play week by week, opponent by opponent on a pre-generated schedule, and the winners of the regular season will go on to play in playoffs. Now, we are one of, I believe, 12 coaches this season, and we are in the Fire Main division. PPL is running with 2 divisions. They have Fire Main and they have Elevitate. Yeah, that's a really hard. I'm really glad I've got Fire Main as my division name. We are joining this league with a fellow friend of the Wailords community, Gurtbilbo of the Old English ICQ, and funny enough, we actually faced Gurt in week 1, so that'll be a really interesting start to our season. Now, during this draft, we have those 110 points, and we're able to pick any Pokemon, any amount of Pokemon, 9 to 12. So you have to have at least 9 Pokemon in your team, up to 12 Pokemon. Not every team will draft a full 12 Pokemon team. Spoilers, I did. And you don't have to use all your points, but you can't exceed those points. Another rule to this league is that for Mega Pokemon, you get a maximum of 2 Pokemon that can Mega. Now, they must hold their Mega Stones, but they don't have to Mega during the battle. Megas are typically valued differently from their base form, whether it's because of their item flexibility might be worth more, or because of the Megas are just so much stronger than their base form that they are just considered a wholly more powerful Pokemon. Additional rules that this league is running with is, I believe, certain abilities are banned, mainly evasion boosting abilities and Moody. I believe there are rules against accuracy, might be rules against sleep clause, but I don't think there is. There's definitely item clause, which Champions enforces anyways, but they've also banned 4 additional items, which is Bright Powder, Quick Claw, Focus Band, and King's Rock. Trying to really just like mitigate as much of the RNG factor as possible, because it's more for, as much as it is a competitive format, it's also for the enjoyment of the players, the enjoyment of those watching, and so yeah. I think that's enough of an introduction to the Draft League, and we shall get into introducing my team. So, let's have a look, shall we? What we picked round number 1. Oh, there's my mouse. Okay, here we go. I can use my mouse to point things out. So, my first round pick was Mega Swampert. Now, I was positioned 10th in the draft, which means 9 other coaches drafted before me, so a lot of really good Pokemon were already taken pretty early on. If I have a look, I could probably see exactly which Pokemon were taken. Oh, I've already closed that document. That's a shame for me. but Pokemon like Mega Metagross, Floette Eternal, Charizard Y, these Pokemon were already taken like round 1, like really early on, and Arculudon was also taken, and I went into this draft knowing two things. One, I really wanted to draft Mega Swampert, and two, if I couldn't, I was going to draft Garchomp. Now, when it came to my turn, both were still on the board, and I was like, okay, definitely going for the Mega Swampert. I'll be able to pick up some sort of rain in the on the way back. I really like Swampert. It's one of my favourite Pokemon. Not my favourite Pokemon, but it's a really good Mega, and I quite enjoy playing like Rain as of late. Like, that is typically the best I've done is with Rain, and so I kind of wanted to try it out with Mega Swampert because it's the first time I've been able to play in a like draft with the official rules, including official VGC rules, including Mega Pokemon. So yeah, it's a really good Pokemon. Swift Swim is its Mega ability, Torrent and Damp is its base abilities, and like you can see here, its attack stat's really high. It's 150, I believe. It's got decent defenses, like 110, and HP is like 100. So like, really solid bulk across the board. And like, it's just a really good Pokemon. And that speed stat is I think 70, but like you don't see that as being an issue when it's got the ability Swift Swim. So yeah. Water Ground, really good offensive type, really good defensive type, only weak to grass, and so like you start off with Mega Swampert and you can kind of dictate the rest of your draft to make sure that you're not going to be imposing on that or building up on that weakness. So yeah. Next, I needed my Rain Sweeper. So, not my Rain Sweeper, my Rain Setter. And so, we ended up getting Pelipper. Now, the reason why I took Pelipper whilst Politoed was still on the board was even though it was like 2 extra points, funny enough, it was the exact same point cost as Mega Swampert. The tier list was I believe, a 20-point tier. Mega Swampert was my highest point pick at 14. Like, we haven't gone for like super heavy, high price Pokemon. We've gone quite, trying to find like really good budget pieces along the entire draft. And really stretch those points out. So, speaking of, we've got Pelipper. Now, Pelipper in itself isn't the strongest of Pokemon, but with Drizzle, it really enables Swampert. Not only that, but it doesn't share the grass weakness that Swampert does, and Swampert is actually immune to the electric type that is quad super effective against Pelipper. So, really good type synergy there, as well as giving access to Tailwind, being immune to Earthquake, giving Helping Hand. It's just really good, you know? There are other abilities. It's got Rain Dish, it's got Keen Eye, but like, yeah, who cares? Funnily enough, the defensive stat of Pelipper is actually its best at 110, I believe, which is equivalent to the 100, I'm mistaken, 100, which is nearly equivalent to Swampert's base stat of defense, but a little bit frailer. But no, it's just a really good support Pokemon. It can do a lot, and also that's 2 Pokemon straight up that can just wide guard. Now, you don't really want to be wide guarding with Swampert, to be fair, but Pelipper having access to wide guard in a format in Champions where there's a lot of like spread damage in the current VGC meta, whether it be Heat Waves, whether it be Hyper Voice Gardevoir, whether it be like an Earthquake Garchomp, whether it be Make It Rain Goldengo, like there's just always going to be spread move pressure, and having access to a mon that already that has got to that as a defensive tool is very good. So after getting Pelipper, I decided let's keep going, and I went for Corviknight. I really wanted a good steel type, and there's not really a great deal of steel types that really interested me, and I considered Corviknight because I was at this point I was expecting to maybe get like a lightning rod redirector or something along those lines, and I thought another Pokemon really bulky who can pair well with Swampert so that I can keep that earthquake pressure going. It's really good. Mirror Armor, really makes the opponent think a little bit about like Intimidate. A lot of Pokemon that run Intimidate actually have a physical attack stat in itself. I mean, take Luxray, Tauros, Incineroar, Scrafty, they all have like want to be hitting you physically, and then you're reflecting that right back at them. Not only that, but it also has Unnerve, and in Champions, where there's a very limited item pool, a lot of people will opt to run berries as items, so I think Unnerve is a really strong ability because it stops the opponent from using those berries whilst your Pokemon's on the field. So I really appreciate that from Corviknight. So up to now, yeah, I've got 2 flying types, but they serve very different roles. Pelipper is more supportive and Corviknight is more defensive. It still outputs quite a lot of offensive pressure thanks to like Stab Brave Bird or Iron Defense Body Press, and it's got a few other tools in its arsenal. It's 2 other tools in its toolkit as well, like it can run a screen set, it can do Tailwind, like there's a lot of things Corviknight can do other than just the typical Iron Defense Body Press. I've been put on the back foot before by a Scarf Corviknight outspeeding Pokemon that I wasn't expecting to. So yeah, Corviknight I thought would be really fun, and it's a nice little rain core we're getting going, you know? It's also Corviknight is only weak to electric and fire, and rain suppresses one of those weaknesses. So, and electric isn't really wanting to be brought up against a Mega Swampert a lot of the time, so I really appreciated that for this pick. Coming into round 4, I really wanted to get Sableye, but sadly Sableye was taken just before I could get it. I really value Prankster as a tool in VGC draft, and so I knew I wanted to get a Prankster Pokemon, and I decided to go and get this one, Meowstic Male. Now, I've ran Meowstic Male before. I think it's a fantastic Pokemon, whether it's Prankster Thunderwave, whether it's Dual Screens, whether it's Weather, whether it's Fake Tears, whether it is Charm. Like, it's got such a deep move pool for supports. It's also one of the only Pokemon that can run a +4 Quick Guard, because Quick Guard is naturally +3, same priority bracket as Fake Out. It can actually protect your team against faster Fake Outs than Meowstic. Meowstic's already got a really decent speed at 104, and it can obviously go for Fake Out itself, but having Quick Guard at that higher priority is really neat. It's also got higher priority in Trick Room, so it's actually -6, not -7, which means moves like Roar, Circle Throw, Dragon Tail, Whirlwind will go after he sets Trick Room, so that's really nice as well. It's also got Prankster Encore, I believe. It is missing out on the Prankster Will-O-Wisp that I really wanted from the Sableye, but like, it's what it loses there, it gains in like terrain access, so it gets access to both Prankster Misty Terrain and Psychic Terrain, which we'll touch upon later. It's also able to like side proc Sucker Punches, or like or just straight up Sucker Punch the opposing team to get chip. It's got some surprising offensive moves like Thunderbolt and Energy Ball, so its coverage isn't too bad in that regard. But yeah, no, I really like Meowstic. I think it's going to be really good. It might not be the Sableye that I wanted, but for the cost of it, which I believe was about 11 points, 9 points even, I thought it was a pretty much like a really good steal. Our next pick was Meowscarada. Now, up to this point, I'd got Corviknight and Pelipper, both of which are like base 65, 67 speed. Swampert, which is base 70 outside in rain. Meowstic, which isn't exactly offensive, it's very support orientated. Even though it's fast, it's its ability that's carrying it. Oh, I just realised that my my sound cloud just did an advert. Oh well, I guess. Music by Glitch XC, really fun, really cool, really appreciate them. So yeah, going back to what I was saying. So yeah, at this point in the draft, I was like, I really want something offensive. I want something fast. I tend to build these teams where are a little bit too slow, a little bit too centralized around one speed tier, and I thought now's the perfect time to just get something really offensive and really quick. Meowscarada is a really good Pokemon because of it's got Protein as its ability, allowing it to change its primary stab to whatever its first move is used in battle. A lot of the time you'll see it run like Triple Axle or Play Rough to get Stab Ice or Stab Fairy. It's also able to run Sucker Punch and its signature move Flower Trick. It's also able to go for U-Turn. And what's cool about the Flower Trick is that that's probably one of the best answers to Mega Swampert in the format, because of just how fast it is and because of how much damage it does. Like, it will break through screens. Mega Swampert's bulky enough that behind screens it can probably survive a few grass type hits, but it would never be able to survive against Meowscarada. So by getting Meowscarada, I don't just get like a really fast, really offensive attacker, but I also take away one of the best counters to my Mega in the available to people. So yeah, Meowscarada, really cool, really fast, really offensive, surprisingly really good at support as well, and its special attack isn't that low. Like, its special attack is 81, and when you're able to like get stab on any of those attacks, it's pretty useful. Like, you can go for like power gem sets, so because it gets a surprisingly deep move pool. Like, it gets access to Trick Room, and I've seen that happen before where people are just not expecting it, and yeah. Or it can go for like be ran as Choice Scarf and be able to go for a Choice Scarf trick into a support Pokemon. So yeah, really appreciate Meowscarada. I think it's really cool. It's my favorite Pokemon from my favorite starter from Paldea. So yeah, the 110 attacks, that's pretty nice as well, especially when you're always going to be hitting with stab off your first attack. So yeah, next Pokemon we move to is Gengar. Now, I didn't actually draft Gengar at this point. I actually drafted Gengar a lot later on, but after the first 5 Pokemon, Gengar was on my draft plan for pretty much the entirety of the rest of the draft, and I just chose not to get it till near the end because basically everyone else had already got themselves a Ghost type, so I knew it was relatively safe in the draft. Now, the reason why I wanted Gengar is for the similar reason I wanted Meowscarada. I wanted something fast, offensive, but this time special. Sadly, just before I got Gengar, Mega Gengar went. Not just before, during this round even. Just after I got Meowscarada, Mega Gengar had gone, and I really wanted to get Mega Gengar as my secondary Mega, because it absolutely pressures the hell out of the grass types that want to counter Mega Swampert, and it's also good into trapping because they it would have been able to Shadow Tag, like stopping the other weathers from switching in and out, keeping Pokemon trapped in against Mega Swampert. Like, that would have been really cool. However, we didn't get that. We got regular Gengar, and I was umming and ahhing between Gengar and Mimikyu for the longest time, but I felt like I needed that speed because I was falling into that trap that I set myself in, which is making my teams a little bit too slow and easy to EV against. So I wanted Gengar as a complement to Meowscarada, both of which are kind of glass cannony. Like, you can see here that their stats are pretty similar. They're just flipped in their offense. So yeah, base 130 though is nothing to sneeze at. It's very strong. Curse Body can be a really cool ability, especially against like choice sets, and it still gets access to things like Perish Song and Disable and Will-O-Wisp and Encore, so like it can still be a very annoying Pokemon for the opponent to deal with, even if it's not running a super offensive set. So yeah, Gengar, really fun, really cool. I think it's going to be interesting. It's one of the Pokemon I've actually ran a few times, but never really had the best success with, so I'm hoping that here in Champions it'll be a little bit different. Next, we move on to Aromatisse. So this is the actual Pokemon I drafted during round 6, and Aromatisse I knew from the get-go I wanted. Aside from Swampert, this was the other Pokemon I wanted. Now, many familiar people of the channel will know how much I love Aromatisse. I won a couple drafts with it back in Sword and Shield. It was not in Scarlet and Violet, which is a very sad time for me, and I am glad to finally get it back again in Champions. I've been using it in ladder a lot, along with its partner, which we'll get to in a minute, but I think Aromatisse is one of the most underrated draft Pokemon there is. It is in my opinion, epitome of a low budget Trick Room setter, but which is very high value for its point cost. So it's only 6 points, nothing, very little, and it's got an amazing ability in Aroma Veil, which prevents your entire team, like your two Pokemon, both for your Pokemon, yourself and your partner, from the effects of things like Encore, Disable, and just anything that would shut down your move choice, which is an entire way of just... Sorry, advert again. Which is an entire way for people to shut down Trick Room, is to like taunt, or maybe Prankster Encore once Trick Room's set up. And you just can't do that against Aromatisse. Granted, we don't have access to Covert Cloak, which is obviously even stronger for it, but I have mentioned before about how Meowstic has got things like Prankster Psychic Terrain and Quick Guard, one of the best Quick Guards in the game. So we have a lot of ways to help Aromatisse. It's also bulky enough where it does survive decently well against most attacks, whilst also having a decent offensive output at like a base 99 special offense with a stab 95 Moonblast, which is one of the strongest stab attacks in the game without a drawback. So yeah, really cool. I think it's got a cool move pool. It's got access to electric moves, grass moves, psychic moves, and it's also got heal pulse, which is very appropriate. So yeah, Aromatisse, one of my favourite Pokemon, and I never used to like it before draft, but I fell in love with it, and it's probably my favourite draft Pokemon of all time as a result, so I'm really glad to be running it again. Next on the list is our first Trick Room sweeper, Conkeldurr. Very good Pokemon. It's got decent bulk. Admittedly, there's no Assault Vest, so it doesn't have the bulk that an Assault Vest would give you, and that is one of its better sets. Also, there's no Flame Orb or for its Guts ability, so that is also hurting it, which is probably why it's down in 6 points. However, there are ways around this. Something that I think should be considered, whilst not always being the best answer, is that Prankster Thunderwave can put Guts onto my own Conkeldurr. Now, normally that wouldn't be good, but due to Champions updates, move updates, or status updates, or just basic balance patches, paralysis is a much smaller chance of happening. I think it's almost halved, and so it is risky, but it is one way of inflicting the Guts condition and having Conkeldurr really hit hard. Plus, you want to be at half speed in Trick Room anyway, so it's a pretty neat strategy there. However, it's probably best set at the moment is going to be from the Iron Fist, or Sheer Force. Now that Life Orb is back in the game, I can also boost up its moves like that. Moves like Hammer Arm would get boosted. Moves like Fire Punch or Thunder Punch, they're going to get boosted. So, still really good. And yeah, and it doesn't take recoil from the Life Orb either, thanks to Sheer Force. And then Iron Fist is also good for all its punch moves. It gets Mach Punch, one of the strongest Mach Punches in the game. I mean, it's got a base 140 attack stat, I believe, and a really decent defense in 95 with a 105 HP. So yeah, I think Conkeldurr is going to be really good, and I think it pairs well with Aromatisse, but it also pairs well with the team's second Mega Dramper. Now, Dramper is my other Pokemon that I love to pair with Aromatisse, and I consider its partner. It's also the second Pokemon that I used on my ladder team in Champions when it first released to get to Master Ball. I had a team with Mega Dramper and Aromatisse. and it did really well, and I can confidently say that both of those two were the best parts of that team, and were the most brought Pokemon, despite having other Pokemon on it like Incineroar, Quavel, and stuff. Now, I think Drampa is so cool. It's a normal dragon, so it's only weak to Fairy, Fighting, Dragon, and Ice, but its move pool coverage is insane. It actually has a move for every single type in the game, I believe. Like, it's got Blizzard, Steel Wing, although its attack isn't great. It's got Play Rough. It's got everything but, I think, Bug. It's got Hurricane, and that's the other reason why I really like the Mega Drampa, is because it's got access to things like Hurricane and Thunder with a 160 special attack stat. And this pairs well with the Conkeldurr, because Conkeldurr doesn't share a weakness with Drampa other than Fairy, which is again why I like the Corviknight on my team and the Gengar to pressure the Fairies, as well as the Grass types. But the Drampa pairs well with my Rain. You might think, oh, but it's got Cloud9. But it also has Berserk, and Berserk is a cool ability that when its HP gets lowered below half, it boosts its special attack by 1 stage. Now typically I would like to run this with Sinistcha, but Sinistcha went so quickly that I was never going to be able to get it. However, Aromatisse with the Heal Pulse, and a few other Pokemon that I think might get Heal Pulse on this team, it can be pretty useful. I think Life Dew would be nice, and I might look into seeing if I have Life Dew on this team. I don't think Pelipper gets it, but that's fine. But like any type of recovery would be useful for it to get multiple procs in a fight. But its main thing is that as a secondary Mega, I can't hold another item, and if I was going to have a secondary Mega on this team, it would need to be a Pokemon that I don't mind losing an item. And Drampa, in my opinion, is one of those Pokemon, because if it would either run Throat Spray, which isn't in the game, it would run Life Orb, which is useful, but I don't think it's necessary, or it would run a Resist Berry. And I don't mind sacrificing the Resist Berry for just having a secondary Mega that doesn't share a weakness with Swampert, thanks to the fact that its base can also run Sap Zipper, which gives it an entire grass immunity, which is great for teams that rely heavily on things like Spore. And I don't have to Mega it. I also like that it can be used as a Cloud9 Pokemon, which negates all weather on the field, which is particularly good for the matchups where I'm struggling to maintain weather control. And I can just instead go, you know what? No, you don't get to. Or I can control when the weather comes into effect and when I want it to be beneficial to myself or to my opponent. So yeah, Mega Drampa, really cool, really offensive. It's just a really cool hyper voice and Draco Meteor Pokemon. Like, it's got 2 really high base power stats, base power moves with a really high base stats of 160. So yeah, really excited to run Mega Drampa. Next on my list is Armarouge. Now, I needed a fire type, not for the offensive side, but for the defensive side. Up to this point, I had a crippling ice weakness on my team that I needed to cover. And I chose Armarouge, even though it is weak to Dark and Ghost, which are types I was also amassing weaknesses for. I really like what Armarouge can do as like a tertiary mode. I've already got Trick Room, really well established. I've already got a very decent Rain Core, but I wanted something else. And Armarouge provides this. With Meowstic, it can run Psychic Terrain and Expanding Force off a really strong 125 base special attack. It can also run Weather Ball to compare with the Rain mode, or it can run Heat Wave and Armor Cannon to pair with a Sunny Day from Meowstic. It just provides this tertiary option that the opponents have to prep for, which I really appreciate. It's also quite bulky for a Psychic type, and for a Fire type, which has got access to both Will-O-Wisp, Wide Guard, again, and Trick Room. So this is I think at this point, this is my 5th and final Trick Room setter. And I just really appreciate the flexibility that Armor Rouge's kit gives my team. It provides that defensive type, the defense that fire types offer, whilst also providing a few niche support moves or a decent offensive stat alongside. It's just really unique, you know? I did look at Pokemon like Delphox or maybe Houndoom or something like that, or something a little bit more typical of a rain team from a fire type like Infernape or Salazzle, but I really didn't appreciate how frail those Pokemon are, and something like Simisear also providing Fake Out. All three of those provide Fake Out, but they're all pretty weak and pretty frail. And I needed something that was going to be like, no, I'm staying here to be a little bit more respected. Plus, Simisear, whilst it being cheap, I don't want a primary fire type on this team where it didn't have a secondary typing that it could rely on if ever caught inside the rain. And Armor Rouge is a Pokemon that, thanks to its diverse move pool, isn't worried about that. Also, weak armor strats. Gotta love it. Lower its defense, even without weakness policy. I can get a quick speed boost, or if they hit me and I go really bulky with this Armor Rouge instead of going for speed, then they're going to hit me, get a speed boost, and outspeed things and hit hard. So yeah, really love it, really cool. Sad that there's no weakness policy in the game. That would have been really fun for it, but still a really good Pokemon for what was 9 points. We are listening to ads again. So, moving on, we go to Eliatros. Now, I was between Mega Eliatros for a while and Mega Raichu and Mega Raichu Y and Mega Raichu X. Admittedly, I really wanted Raichu, the normal one. Like any good rain team wants is Raichu. Couldn't get it, that's sad. And I did in fact draft Eliatros and Jolteon. But I did drop Jolteon in Grace for the next Pokemon and kept Eliatros. And the reason why I kept Eliatros is because of, I think it's quite a bit bulkier. I've already got some decent speeds on this team with Meowscarada, Gengar, and Meowstic, Swift Swim, Swampert, Double Tailwind if I need it, and the team kind of relies on Trick Room a bit more anyway. But when I was looking into the matchups that I'd be facing off against, I felt like the bulk that Eliatros provided and the deeper move pool from things like Dragon Tail and Flamethrower and Grass Knot would be a lot more valuable than just Jolteon's access to like Weather Ball, Alluring Voice, and Electric moves. So that's kind of why we went that way, but also because of Levitate also continues to circle back and synergize with Swampert for a nice little Disquake mode. So yeah, that's basically the reasoning behind it. Jolteon was going to be a bit more of a supportive, faster, and burst damage, and this is more of a longer lasting Citrus Berry, stays on the field for maybe another turn, can switch in, take a hit, and that type of thing. So I do lose out on Volt Absorb, but what I lose out on Volt Absorb, I gain in a full-on ground immunity for my team, which is really good because of both Gengar and Armor Rouge are weak to it, weak to ground, and I want to pair as many things as possible next to Mega Swampert to be able to click Earthquake. I think that's about it for Eliatros. I suppose I could speak about why I didn't go for the Mega, and the reason why I didn't go for the Mega is because of, although I think it's a really good Mega, I thought having my secondary Mega be so synergistic with my primary Mega kind of defeats the point, because you can never Mega them both together, and that means that you've got two Pokemon in the field that were holding Mega Stones, aren't holding, they're losing an item because they are so synergistic to one another, and I just didn't really like the inflexibility of that, which is why I wanted my Megas to be completely distinct modes, one on a fast and one on a slow. So yeah, that's Eliatros. And then lastly, the last member, and only joined us during Grace, for 2 points was Beartic. Eagle-eyed viewers will notice the reason why I've drafted Beartic, but it's a little bit deeper than that. So I currently only have Armor Rouge as an ice resist, and with having Mega Swampert and Pelipper weak to freeze dry, that's not great. My steel type doesn't resist, my fire type is not always going to be coming in rain, and so I'm at a little bit of a loss as to how I negate the ice weakness and without tripling up on a water type. And so I decided, with some advice, to go for the Swift Swim user Beartic. Now, the reason why I agreed that this was a good idea and why I've gone for it is, even though they are both Mega Swampert and Beartic physical leaning Swift Swim users, Beartic surprisingly has a really cool supportive move pool. It gets access to Snarl, it gets access to Encore, access to Yawn, and those type of moves I really value. It also gets access to Icy Wind, and not so. I just realised I forgot to change the colours on Beartic's sliders, which is just sad because I was very consistent on all the others. But I think it's a really cool supporting moveset Beartic can run. Yes, it's got a strong 130 base attack, but as my secondary Swift Swim user, and it can be ran as a bit more supportive. Its 130 attack is great, its base 50 speed is a little bit poor, but it allows it to run in both Trick Room and out of Trick Room. The niche, or the really cool thing about its speed tier is that rain. I believe it hits 224 as its speed, and I'm pretty certain Dragapult hits 223, a jolly or timid Dragapult. So Beartic is able to outspeed a max speed Dragapult in rain, which is very important. Yes, it might not outspeed the base 150s of Aerodactyl or Mega Aerodactyl or Mega Alakazam, but outspeeding a base 142 Pokemon, very good, in my opinion. And it can outspeed a lot of the fast Pokemon, quote unquote, such as Mega Delphox and I believe just base 130 Pokemon, just by being adamant. 102 I think it is, it hits, which means it hits 204 when in rain, and that should speed type Mega Delphox and outspeed all base 130, such as Jolteon, such as Aerodactyl. So, like, it might be slow, but it's not so slow that it can't benefit from the Swift Swim. Additionally, something I noticed about my draft was that I was worried about some of the snow setters. While I can deal with sand and I can deal with sun semi-okay, snow setters can be a little bit of a problem if they gain control, because of Pelipper and Swampert are weak to freeze dry. And Beartic offers this interesting mode where I can run it as Slush Rush, or I can run it as Swift Swim. And with it having access to Rain Dance, I can run it in snow and get a Slush Rush boosted Rain Dance off to allow my Mega Swampert to outspeed as well. Which is another reason why I actually wanted Gengar, because of it. Not only does it counter the grass types, it also countered the 3 primary snow setters of the format, because of its able to be ran Scarf against Mega Frostlass and do really good damage against it because of snow boost defense, not special defense. But it also counters a Bomber Snow and Alolan Ninetales, thanks to its poison typing. So yeah, that was another reason why I wanted the Gengar. Just wanted to flip back over to that whilst I was talking about the snow. So yeah, each of the Pokemon I picked have had a particular reason for why I picked them, other than just liking them or just wanting to run them. Just ending with Beartic here. I think it's a really cool team. I'm really excited to use it. I think there's a lot of good value on this team. A lot of Pokemon that I think could, in a different format or at a different time, be valued a lot higher, and so I wouldn't be get the chance to run all of them together. That being said, we'll see what the season has in store for us. I think playing with a load of new people is really exciting. I think it's going to lead to some fresh and exciting battles that I've been missing. And something else of note is that this is an upload required draft league, so I believe there will be a scheduled upload for all games. So I believe my opponents will also be uploading their side, which is a first. Most of the time we play, we don't actually get to see the opponent's side. So it'd be really fun to see what the opponents think, their point of views of the matches, and I think that leads to a more just a more enjoyable draft experience when you get to see everyone's games and just see everyone's point of views. I know as of late I've been a little bit inconsistent with my uploads, so I'm hoping that this allows me to be a little bit more consistent and yeah, generate a few more views, see what everyone thinks, have a bit of fun. I'm excited for it. So yeah, till next time guys, thank you all for watching.